Welcome, everybody, to Astrorisamoon Talk Radio. We are back, going to have another wonderful discussion for this upcoming moon. It is a full moon in Scorpio. It is 13 degrees in House 10, and that is going to be May 3rd. So we have a guest, a priestess of Oya, and her name is Oya'ayode. Welcome to the show.
Alafia, and thank you for having me.
Yes, I am so glad to have you here. You know, I'd like to look at the previous moon time before we even go into this particular moon. Now, for those that are wondering why are we speaking to a priestess of Oya, there's a couple of things that have been transpiring since last time we got together. We have actually Pluto, which is Oya's planet. That went retrograde April the 16th and went retrograde in Capricorn. That's an archetype of Oya'ayode for our Orisha people. And now this particular full moon that, again, is coming up, Sunday, May 3rd, that is a full moon in Scorpio, and Scorpio is the archetype of Oya, so it makes perfect sense that we find out a little bit or maybe a lot more about these energies that are occurring with this moon time. Now, with this full moon in Scorpio, it has a lot of Batala energy, but it also has a lot of energy with Oya and Iku. And so we have to talk about this from an Oya perspective. We have to know what's going on. And so that's what we're going to talk about today, right? Okay, so before we start, I want to just jump into talking about the previous moon that we had. That was the Aries new moon. That was April the 18th. It was in House 9, which is also an Oya energy. And the sun was also in Aries, and that was in House 9. So we had a pot to key with that. We really need to deal with our Batala consistently and continuously. But let me just go ahead and share with my audience the previous moon, the Aries, the new moon, because that moon was really giving us a chance to do something. And the proverb for that moon was, wisdom is the key to many things, and patience is the key to wisdom. So the energies that were playing themselves out with that moon time, was moon, of course, Oshupa, Mercury, Elegba's planet, Mars, Ogun's planet, Jupiter, Obatala's planet, and Saturn, Obaluya's planet. So one of the messages for that moon time was, during this Aries new moon, our collective consciousness is still feeling the effects of the previous moon time, which pinpointed a time for us to forge ahead in some area or areas of our lives. It was a time to create something meaningful and to pick or choose who will travel with us on the road, which is our destiny. And that was the discussion we had with the Ogun priest previously. So now, actually, with this Aries moon, we are now going to address some things, or we were then going to address some things around April the 18th and moving forward, how best to develop something meaningful. So before we were looking at with the previous moon, which was the Libra moon, we were looking at, okay, well, who's going to travel this road? Let me figure out what is meaningful for myself and who am I going to associate with? Who am I going to work with? Because whatever we were doing, it was really going to affect our destiny. And so then with the April 18th moon, which was the Aries moon, the messages were really bringing to our collective consciousness awareness that we really need to talk about, really look at how best to develop something meaningful. Our collective consciousness is at that point introduced to situations that would require us to ask ourselves and ask others to identify their abilities our abilities, their lack of abilities, our lack of abilities, and to exhibit and develop some level of self-control, wisdom, and deeper understanding. It's very important and very interesting that the Aries moon, which is truly an Ogun energy, was requiring us to not only figure out what's meaningful in our lives, to identify how we are going to move forward and do things, what we're lacking, what we need to work on, what gifts we have, all of that, but also we really had to deal with being in self-control. And so then we are now led into this current moon coming up, which is a full moon in Scorpio. So what we chose to do previously, we're going to manifest, and it's going to really show how we're going to deal with this moon. What are we going to do? How are we going to handle it? And so that's why we have our guest here today, Oya'ayode, because we're going to really delve into Oya, really talk about Oya. So welcome again to our show, Oya'ayode.
I just play. Just before we do anything else, let me just say thank you so much for the work that you do. Because as we think about Oya's energy and its transformational qualities, the work that you provide for us collectively gives us the opportunity to really be reflective and to really engage those transformative things we need to engage so we can show up in the world and have the impacting on the world and not have the world impacting on us. So we give thanks to you and to your work, and we salute you and your work because it is meaningful and it is good for community. So thank you so much. Thank you so much.
My pleasure. I thank you. You know, this, the history of this work, and it is revolutionary.
It is revolutionary.
And that's part of the theme of this time. But, it was ordained, preordained, and that's what we do. So that we all can collectively have additional tools to move forward, right? So let's talk now about Oya. We'll go into the messages of this moon coming up, but I really want people to get a clearer understanding of Oya because so many people are afraid of that energy, and we really need to talk about that energy because, as I mentioned previously, that planet went into retrograde. Now, for those out there that follow astrology, you all know that Uranus and Pluto are squaring each other. And so, what that means pretty much is that they're like squared off. No, don't cross this line. I dare you to knock this chip off my shoulder. It's really that kind of energy. So Uranus squaring Pluto, that's the energy of Shango versus Oya. That's really what those two energies are. And so they're squaring off. So as we ask in this full moon Scorpio that's coming up, the question is asked, so you want a revolution? Well, let's talk about revolution. So let's talk about Oya. Oya. First, who is Oya to you?
Your comments earlier, I think are reflective of even among our Orisha people, right? That people fear this energy. People approach Oya timidly. And because people do so, I think that they don't really get the full benefit very often of the scope of Oya and all that she has to offer to our lives. So who is Oya to me? And that's a layered and complicated question like my Yeye herself. It is layered and complicated. Two things come to mind specifically. One, that Oya is freedom. So when we think about the manifestations of Oya and the symbolic manifestations of Oya, wind is one of those manifestations, yes? So who controls the wind? Nobody. Nobody can control the wind. It blows when it wants to, how it wants to, where it wants to. It does what it wants to do. And there is no scientific, there is no man-made thing, there is nothing. We can dam water, right? We can blow up the mountains, but the wind, nobody can control the wind. So when I think about Oya, there's a part of that energy that I think about that represents freedom in its most essential way. That it is the ability, both in an internal space, so let's look at it both internally and externally. Internal freedom. We are bound and shackled by our mess. Pain, sorrow, lack of humility, all those things. Oya, because she wants freedom for us, takes us to a place where we have to examine those things within us. We have to look at those things within us. And we have to deconstruct those things so we can be born anew. We can be a new thing, right? So that's the internal freedom that Oya gives us. Because when we are released from those shackles, there's nothing that we can't do. Fear keeps us from pursuing the things we want to pursue or being true to our destiny. Our own lack of humility prevents us from being able to ascend into the places and spaces that we could go spiritually, or that we could go in our career. When we look at all those things, our lack of being able to transform or let some things die in ourselves prevent us from the kinds of relationships that we could possibly have and enjoy and could lead us toward fulfilling our destiny. So Oya is freedom. But you got to work. Freedom is good, but freedom ain't free.
Right.
Freedom ain't free.
No.
So that means there's a price to be paid for freedom, and you have to work for that. So Oya makes us work. She makes us work. She makes us work hard. And sometimes people want to run away from that, but I bear witness. You go in the dark, with her, you will come out reformed, lighter, better, brighter, and ready to do a new thing. So Oya is freedom. That's the internal piece. The macro piece about freedom, I think that Oya represents, is the opportunity to do things in a revolutionary way, and to not be bound by things that no longer serve you in the external world. So if we are shackled, again, in the same way, to things that just don't serve us, that don't serve our community well, right? If we have gotten used to normative behavior, doing things the way they've always been done, then we aren't truly free. We are not conditioned to think in a free way. Liberation is really a foreign word to us, collectively. We talk about it, but do we really know what it means to be free? Not really. Not really. There's a lot that keeps us from being free.
I can see that.
There's a lot that keeps us from being free. And so in an external way, I think the opportunity to do a new thing in a new way, with the force of Oya behind you, is that external freedom. The other thing that Oya represents to me is life itself. And because everything in life has cycles, and Oya represents cycles in many ways. Everything has a beginning, and everything ultimately has an end. And it is that we, when we align ourselves with those cycles, and we allow ourselves to co-create within the context of those cycles, and when we have awareness about our own destiny, then we're able to live a life that is more fulfilling. We're able to live a life that is not full of regret, and we're able to really show up in the world as we were divinely designed to do. So Oya is freedom, but she's also the essence of life itself. When we connect to the energy of Oya, we can learn to connect in a better way to accepting life on life's terms. And we don't fight, right, with the things that have to come and go, because we know that is a part of what? Life.
Accepting life on life's terms.
Through your own cultural and divine context, though, right?
Right.
Yeah. We're not resigning to life. We're not giving up. We're not going in with our hands up. But we're going in and saying, okay, this is what's real about this.
Right.
Well, Yah forces us to be real about the situations that are present in our life. This is what's pragmatic. This is what's real about this. So how can I use what's real and pragmatic to propel me forward? Because it's in the illusion that we get stuck. and we get tied to the illusion of a thing, and we can't ever find our way out of it. The dream of a thing, right? We get tied to that. But yeah, it's like, no, baby, No, this is what this is. But even in the context of this being something you perhaps were not ready for, didn't plan for, don't really like the way it feels right now, this is the opportunity that this can have for you, whatever this is for you. So, yeah.
Powerful. That's powerful explanation of Oya. And you don't hear people speak with that passion about Oya. But truly, all that you said, I mean, you have pretty much summed up what I say about Oya, where I say that she is the Orisha that will remove your rose-colored glasses.
Ashe.
And so you said some really profound things, because that is the energy, that the things that you said about Oya, explaining that energy, is the things that this moon time is focusing on, talking about being real and pragmatic, dealing with your illusions, not allowing yourself to be disillusioned. And I want to go into talking about the retrograde aspect of Oya. When the planet Pluto, Oya's planet, has sent something out saying that this is a generational planet, and its house position is more important than its sign position. Okay, so Oya's planet went retrograde in the first house. So that's like dealing with everybody. That's everybody's thing. That's, right? That's our, us as an individual. And it was at 15 degrees. And so here we're looking inward on a deeper level, observing and investigating our past, our previous and current relationships to identify their sturdiness and what our overall past experiences were founded on. So we're really kind of looking at our foundation of everything right now, right? Just want to let everybody know we are going to live this retrograde for 161 days. So we're going to have to dig in. We're going to have to dig in and really deal with some stuff.
Get a cup of coffee, sit down, get a pen, do something,
You know, we're going to shake the foundations. Foundations are going to be shook. So here one can really feel, you know, you may feel different. You may feel out of sorts. You may feel like you're not part of the crowd. And for those that normally would feel uncomfortable, feeling like they're not part of the crowd right now with that energy going retrograde, you may feel comfortable with that. Because you're beginning to say what? I'm dealing with me.
Vanity.
I'm seeing me.
I'm seeing me. And some of us for the first time, right?
Yeah.
In a different way. I'm seeing me without the rose-colored glasses.
Yes.
Yeah, I'm seeing the real me.
The real me. And the real me looks okay.
Right. The real me is good. The real me is good.
The real me is good. So, you know, we become, at this point, the great observer. For at least 161 days.
What a gift.
What a gift.
What a gift. Really. What a gift.
Yes.
I love it.
What a gift. And if there was a conflict between our emotions and our common sense, if we are enlightened enough, or we choose to be enlightened enough, then we can, at this point, begin to reverse those conflicts if we choose to give attention to the dilemma. So Oya's planet symbolizes whirlwind changes and disruptive upheavals. While she's in retrograde, we can connect to her ability to ascertain what indeed needs reconstruction or demolishing through our observations and the awakening of our own spiritual eyes, because this is a very spiritual energy. Oya is a very spiritual energy.
Yeah. So when we think about deconstructing internally, right? The metaphor of what it means for something has to die so something else can be reborn, that applies internally as well. And so the previous moon in Aries, that Ogun energy was clearing the way. Right? The weeds, the rust, whatever, it was clearing the way for us to be able to come to this place in the first house with Pluto in retrograde for 161 years?
Yes.
161 days.
161 days.
And really be able to use that time in a way that would allow us, when we emerge from that 161 days, ready to really go back to the path that Ogun cleared for us, and that those things that we were to develop, those meaningful things we were to develop. Prayerfully, if we've done our work during this Pluto retrograde time, we have created the internal mechanisms to be able to produce that meaningful work appropriately. We've analyzed ourselves. We thought about who we want to work with. We've analyzed them. We thought about the work that we want to do. What does this mean for my destiny? What does this mean for my clan? What does this mean for my community? What's the legacy of this thing that I want to develop and give energy to? Because Oya'ayode, because she's, death is also about legacy and inheritance.
Yes.
And so if we were going to put our hands to the plow and create a meaningful thing, we're not doing that just for the sake of a checklist and saying that we've done this. We're doing this because we are providing to the legacy and inheritance of our community, and in some cases, for some people, also of our families. So I also want to encourage listeners to think, so what are your children's children going to inherit from you? What's the work you have to do so that they can inherit something that is sustainable and long-standing, not just in the material way, but also in the spiritual way? So what kind of inheritance are you creating with your spiritual life? Are you passing on pain? Are you passing on dysfunction? What are you passing on to them? If we do this work for 161 days with Pluto in the first house,
in the first
house, where we have to really have a seat with ourselves and have a talk with ourselves. Our elders would say, have a little talk with Jesus. You need to have a little talk with you and really get down to the nitty-gritty of what's been working for you and what hasn't. And at the end of the day, you have to ask yourself and ask Spirit to help you, so what needs to die in me today? What needs to die?
That's profound. What needs to die in me today?
Not just go away, but die.
But die. Nobody says that.
But
right. you would. But no. But if you can become comfortable in saying that, a lot of illusions and disillusions can be dealt with.
Exactly.
What needs to die in me today?
What needs to die in me today?
And of course, that we are not saying that you have to die.
No.
But those that
what symbolically?
Yes, we are speaking symbolically.
What habits?
Yes.
What fears?
All those things.
What needs to die in me?
What needs to die in me today? And so that's just on our individual first house, personal place. What comes to me also when you say that is, I want to make people aware also that not only are we dealing with ourselves individually, but with this planet going retrograde in the first house, we need to be cognizant, very aware of what we are attracting.
Ashe.
Right? Because anybody that knows anything about Oya, it's not always going to be leaving you. It's also going to be
coming to you.
So be very aware of what you are attracting, especially during these 161 days. Is it something that will help reverse the degenerative
behavior?
Or is it something that's going to promote
further degenerative behavior?
So very profound. This
some elders will talk about Oya those who will talk about Oya will say, like, Oya is the great seducer. She's the great seductress. People say that about Oshun in a way, but the way that Oya seduces you is very, very different, right? It's very, very different.
Well, you got a lot of things.
So it's like you are pulled in and you really don't know why. Like, you know why you go into Oshun. It's bright, it is shiny, it is beautiful.
Right.
It's like, I have got to get me some of that, right?
Right.
But when Oya seduces you, it's from the inside out. So another kind of energy will seduce you from the outside, and you want to enjoy that thing. The same reason Shango loved Oya the way he did. It was that internal, I don't really know what it is, but I can't quite put my hand, but I got to go because I'll know, you know?
Right.
So we think about that in ways that we can understand it, but we apply that to our lives in another framework. That Oya energy, to your point earlier, brings things into us that don't ever really leave us in some ways. Like, people can't really ever walk away, right? So the things that Oya brings into our lives, we have to be really mindful of what those things are, because more than likely, they're there, like Pluto is a generational planet, they're there for some time. It's not a kind of fly-by-night, momentary, quick situation.
It's not a quickie.
It is not a quickie. It comes in, it sits down, it crosses its legs, and it asks for some coffee. Can I get some coffee too? Right. Because it's really not going anywhere anytime soon. So that means we're going to have to contend with it for some time. So we really do want to make sure that which we are pulling to us during this cycle, with Pluto being retrograde, with Oya being, Pluto being retrograde in the first house, and with this being the Scorpio moon, like right now, the conversations, I remember in the moon report earlier, you talked about kind of, being mindful about social media presence and all of those things, because all those things are attractors. Yeah. All those things are attractors, right? Yeah. And so we don't want to be pulling in slime and sludge right now. We really do want to use this 161 days to protect and to build, right? So if Shango is that great big fire that puffs up, or Oya is that like simmering fire that you walk by, is that a fire? Is that Oya, Shango's fire you see from down the road. Oya's fire you got to get up on. I think that's on fire. So it simmers and it goes, the embers burn for a long time. So all of that is metaphorically linked right to this period. These energies, the things that we're pulling to us, the experiences that we're having, are really creating a foundation for the opportunity to have what we know to be revolution, right? Later on.
I have to say, before I forget, what you just said about Oya just now, about, is that a fire? Let me look at that. And we have to really be aware. That goes back to, this is the time of the great observer. This is an energy of Oya. Oya is a great observer. Anybody that has any familiarity with this energy knows that she allows you to see.
Danny.
She really allows you to see the minuscule aspects of something. We think about Ogun and we think about the great detective, the great investigator, who in which he is, and those that are under his tutelage, like detectives and people in the military and all. They have that skill. She takes us to a whole nother level. And so that means that we have an opportunity for 161 days to really tap into really being observant and really looking and digging into fun, because she is the Orisa of truth. She is the goddess of truth. She is more about truth than Shango. And he's more law. She's really truth. She's the defender of truth, and she will bring the truth out. And so all of those are characteristics or aspects or part of being able to really dig in and dig deep. So
and with purpose.
And with purpose.
With purpose, right?
Not just because.
Not just because.
Because she's not a not
exactly.
just because.
Nothing is for naught.
No.
No things are for naught. So yeah, with purpose. Like we're digging in, then for what reason, right? For
and so,
reason.
like even right now, we're digging really deep.
We're digging really deep with purpose.
With purpose.
With purpose.
Because that's what this is about. I want to jump. I want to talk about Obatala, because that energy is also part of this moon time. I want to talk about the importance of Obatala. So I want to share a little bit about this Apataki, and then I'd like for you to chime in and give us a deeper perspective of what you see. So this Pataki is actually from the new moon, but it's still playing itself out. It's still really important, and so let's talk about that, because the previous moon and this moon time are both asking us on a collective conscious level to really be wise, right? Really use wisdom in some sort, some sense. So there was a time when Obatala came to live on Earth, Oya'ayode, and he toiled much and he wished for success, and Obatala heard that Alegba was also living on Earth, Oya'ayode, and Obatala decided to seek him out, because he knew that Alegba knew many things and was the owner of power and manifestation. So before going on his journey to find Alegba, Obatala created with his hands a great feast. He picked the fruits and the vegetables and grains needed and prepared an abundant meal. Alegba already knew through his divine ashe, or power, that Obatala wished to have audience with him, and so he waited. And once Obatala finished loading his gift of foods, his Arimu, on his horse, he took off to find Alegba. As Obatala was traveling, Alegba appeared in front of him at a crossroads. Obatala approached Alegba, gave him a full dobale, or salute, and presented Alegba with his meal. Greetings, Alegba. I've heard many good things about you, and I would like to offer you this wonderful meal. Alegba smiled and plopped down right in the middle of the road and began to eat. Alegba ate and ate and ate and ate. He ate for days and nights. It seemed that he would never finish, but Obatala patiently waited all the while. Once Alegba finished eating, he looked up at Obatala and asked him, "What is it that you want, Obatala?" Obatala began to tell Alegba how his life was difficult and he only wanted to be prosperous and happy, but wealth kept eluding him. Alegba told Obatala that wealth was finicky and vain. Obatala, just ignore wealth. She is too finicky and vain. Instead, seek wisdom. She is steadfast and sure. How shall I seek wisdom? Obatala asked. Alegba told Obatala about the 8 elders who could help him. Obatala began pursuing wisdom and ignoring wealth. When wealth saw that Obatala was no longer interested in her, she in turn began pursuing Obatala. Wealth tried to seduce him. She followed him day and night and watched him from afar. One day Obatala finally acquired wisdom, and when he did, wealth slowly approached him and asked if she too could be Obatala's wife. He agreed, and on that day Obatala received both wisdom and wealth as his wives and lived prosperous and happy and had a happy life.
Okay.
So it says wisdom is the key to many things, and patience is the key to wisdom. Now that is a very powerful
Pataki. It is. And it can be life-changing if we allow it to really seep into our spirit and to seep into our psyche. And I appreciated it. I appreciated hearing you read it, because then one can let their mind do some other things when somebody else is delivering the information. So there were 3 or 4 things that bubbled up for me as you were reading it, Ia. So, if we're seeking wisdom, early in the Apataki, we talk about the way that Obatala made the food, right? So we got to work. We have to work.
Mm-hmm.
We have to actively engage in things in order to be connected to or to have wisdom come to us.
Mm-hmm.
And then when he took the offering, the Oya'ayode, he was pursuing Elegba. He met Elegba, and he dobalé to Elegba, Obatala, who we know to be, the great king, said, this man has information and energy that I need. And so respect and honor for those who have either walked the path before us or who have what we need.
And have the wisdom.
So really humbling ourselves to be respectful and to honor. That's both ancestrally and then those in the flesh. Because sometimes we get very caught up in the human beings that we can see, but we're also linking ourselves and pulling up that ancestral wisdom as well and honoring our ancestors who have an infinite amount of wisdom to share with us if we only ask. And then the last thing was to trust the process. So the advice that Elegba gave Obatala might have seemed counterintuitive. I'm pursuing wealth. What are you talking about? You're telling me I need to be looking for wisdom? Didn't I just tell you I was looking for wealth? But Elegba's like, no. Let me tell you. You get down with wisdom, wealth is going to come find you. So trusting the processes that sometimes may feel counterintuitive to us allow us to have success. Because the normative behavior or the normal way of doing things sometimes may not be what we need to do to ensure that we have accumulated the things that we accumulated to fulfill our destiny. So I so appreciate, the energy of Obatala and the wisdom and the sweet wisdom of Obatala and that Apatakis specifically, because it really does give us the opportunity to kind of slow down and consider, during this 161 days, what are we pursuing? What are we pursuing?
Right. What are we pursuing?
Right. And maybe we need to use that counterintuitive example between the conversation of Eshu and Obatala to say, maybe the thing I'm pursuing is not the thing I really need to be pursuing. Maybe I need to be pursuing something else, and the thing I want will come to me.
And that, what you just said, maybe I'm not pursuing what I really need to be pursuing. And what I need, if I change that up, will come to me. And so I now jump into this full moon in Scorpio because you are giving clarity to one of the things that are mentioned in working through this moon time to maintain our success. And so it's, we have like 17 things that we need to do, along with all these moon messages. But one of the main things, based on the energies that are activated right now with this moon time, is this is a good moon time to sit with your ancestors, right? Or your Boveda, or Boveda, and really tap in to find out, get clarity on your personal path. What is needed for you to be successful now? And how can you activate ancestral support? Because the ancestors support us anyway, but how can we activate that? See, there's a difference between just having the support. Mama and Papa and Grandpa and all them, they love you.
They're cheering you on.
They're cheering you on.
Go, baby, go.
Right. They're watching you from the stand. But how can you activate and bring in their participation, get them out of the stand and out there on the field with you? This is a moon time to do that. This is a time to do that. This energy of this moon time is very strong moving into May. I have to go back and check. It's very late right now to be remembering things. But we're talking about, at least May 21st. Right? So this is a very good time to really deal with that. You've read the moon report. What is it that you're picking up with this moon report? Because, again, I mentioned earlier in our conversation that this moon report is very much ask the question, so you want a revolution. Well, let me I don't think I told our audience what energies we're really dealing with this moon time. Yes, we're dealing with Yamaja's planet, Oshupa, the moon, and Lightba is in every moon report. We're dealing with Jupiter, but it has that Abatala and Ochosi kind of energy going on. We have Ogun, Mars planet. We have Obaloye, Saturn's planet. We have Olokun. Neptune. We have Oya, Pluto. We have Earth. Now we got a combination with that Earth. We have Onile, of course, that's Earth, but we also have Egun. That kind of energy. So it's a lot of that Egungun type energy going on. And so let me just say, with this moon time, we are finding ourselves entertaining, of course, this Scorpio full moon. It is in House 10, and this is happening right after the Pluto going in retrograde, as we discussed. And all these recent transitions, planetary transitions, are strong indicators of change, death, revolution, and transformation. So this moon time is marking for us those things and more. It's also marking with the energies that are permeating with this moon time outside of the planetary, but we're just talking about the energies, Orisha energies. We are dealing with revolution. We're dealing with loss. We're dealing with waste. We're dealing with destruction, change, destiny change, clarity, resilience, creativity, and groups. So those are like our themes for this moon time, okay? And also, on a collective conscious level, there's, many of us will have to deal with handling heavy, stressful responsibilities. There's a need to be able to aptly delegate others or delegate our own time and our workload. There's a very demanding moon time on so many levels. Also, with the waste thing, people have to really look at wasting time, wasting other people's time.
Wasting Ashe.
What? Wasting Ashe. Talk about it. And so, all these things, it's like, all the procrastination. We see on a larger level this energy playing itself out in the street.
Yes.
Interesting enough, I just want everybody to know that these moon forecasts are done before everything happens.
Right.
It's
we bear witness.
Right. We just have to put it together and get it out there.
Yeah.
But all this information was out. It was already done before anything publicly blew up. And so it talks about some may feel compelled to pick a fight or instigate a situation. But remember, it takes two to fight. Right. And this moon time also marks a moment when all forms of entanglements can occur. Stay out of the streets and out of people's business. Remain clear-headed and calm. If you have the ability and internal strength to bring closure to arguments, it is good to do so. Otherwise, wait until this moon time passes before addressing confrontations due to the validity and heat of this moon time. So I asked you before, I know you checked this moon time out. I know that you follow the moon report. I know that you, like I said to my other guests, I know you work your thing with it. So what are you seeing? What do you want to share? What is it that, what is your perspective on this moon time messages?
So when we think about Uranus and Pluto, facing off, Oya and Shango symbolically facing off, what it had me do was then had me go back and think about their relationship, because if two energies are facing off, then we have to understand what's at the foundation, what can be rocked if these two energies are facing off.
Right. Okay.
And so what rose up in my spirit in terms of thinking about Shango and Oya, what the hallmarks of their relationship, there was a deep level of interdependence, one upon the other. He was always better when she was there. She was always better when he was there, right? Which also is about Egbe. which we saw in the first moon report, the earlier the new moon report,
right.
and we see again now,
okay.
showing up in different ways. Purpose.
Mm-hmm.
There was a really distinct reason, mission that they had together.
Mm.
Like there was a really specific reason the two of them ruled together.
Mm-hmm.
There was a reason she was his queen.
Mm-hmm.
There was a reason that she lifted up and supported his kingdom and his position in Soba.
Mm-hmm.
Then there was this idea around passion and justice, right, for both of them.
Yes, very much so.
Right?
Mm-hmm.
That tied them together. And then there was love, not the kind of esoteric, I love you, googly-eyed love, but like a real deep and abide. When he went, she went.
Mm-hmm.
Her life ended when his life ended. Right?
Right.
So there's a love that surpasses the physical realm that tie them together. So when we look at some of those things are the things that show up for me as important in their relationship: love, purpose, passion, interdependence, egbe, right?
Mm-hmm.
When we look at those things and then we jump to the knowledge and the wisdom of the moon report, and we know that cosmologically some of these things are at odds, then we have to, during this 161 days, examine those things in our lives.
Right.
Purpose,
mm-hmm.
passion, loyalty, interdependence, egbe. Who's in your crew? Why are they there?
Mm-hmm.
What purpose do they serve?
Mm-hmm.
Right?
Right?
Who's in your spiritual crew? Going back to pulling down the energy from the ancestors.
Right.
And really activating that, really having that be something that's real and manifesting, not just in your prayers, but in a real, I'm walking out the house, I'm taking Daddy with me today because I need to go do ABC.
Right.
And I know that he was good at doing that.
Mm-hmm.
Or I'm calling on my grandmother's energy because I know that it is her ancestral ashe that I need to push me through the next level on this thing.
Mm-hmm.
So that piece stood out for me greatly in this moon report. I think the other things that we talked a little bit about, but I want to reiterate from the perspective of Oya's presence and the Scorpio presence in this report, is that this idea of being wishy-washy, right, and overthinking about how to handle or resolve something.
Right.
That's a very, back to the new moon, Ogun's like, I need you to do this now. Don't come with a lot of, right?
Right.
Oya is very much like that, too. There is a right and wrong to this. There is a right and wrong to this. And I want you, this is what you need to do, what's right for you. This is the thing that's right for you in this context. Make a decision. Do it. It's not that deep. Don't let fear,
once again,
right, be the thing that keeps you from moving forward. Don't let the things that make you comfortable or the illusion of being comfortable, right, keep you from moving forward. So that's a powerful thing to think about. Our character being tested. You talked about Oya being the ultimate truth teller. And not just, the facts. So Ogun may give us the facts. Eshu may give us the facts. But Oya gives us like the root of this. Ashe? So when we find ourselves in a situation, the facts may be, I never really have liked my sister. That's a fact. I don't have a sister, so this is not a true story, right? Or people are like, you don't like her sister, what's wrong with her? That's not true. But so the facts.
Right.
But Oya makes you sit down and say, so, all right, that's true. You really don't like her. So what's real about that? Why is that so?
Right.
What's the root of that dislike? And is that something that needs to die in you? Or is that something that can be transformed in you? Or needs to be transformed in you? So I think that piece around internal truth-telling in a deeper way, opening our spiritual ears to hearing that complete truth, right? I really just can't seem to get it together and get the kind of job I need. Well, what is that about? That's a fact.
That's a fact, but
what's the underlying truth of that?
That's powerful. That's powerful because a lot of people lately have been asking those type of questions. I'm running into,
Mhm.
this is happening, that is happening.
Mhm.
Things are always happening,
Mhm.
but more so they're ready or they're put in a situation right now where they are going to have to look at the why.
That's it.
And then with the why comes the how.
Exactly. Exactly. So now you know the truth of it, not just the facts, but the truth of it. So now you can make a plan. You can employ the energies of Obatala and Alegba and your ancestors, and you can employ all of those heavenly energies to then help you create a plan that is both strategic and aligned with your divine destiny, the thing that you've come to do, and help you get out of that space. It is really that simple. It really is that simple. It really is. It's not that deep.
Right.
You know, it really is that simple.
However.
Says Oya child.
Yes, says Oya child. However, says Yamada
yes,
child.
Danny.
But I have to deal with my illusion and my being stuck in that comfortable state. However, with this everything that's going on right now, we're going to either be ready to do it, or you're going to be shook from your comfortable space. You will be
shook from your comfortable space, right?
Yeah, because that is the time that we're in right now.
Right, that's the time that we're in. And preparing for the show, reading some things about Pluto, an author was talking about both Pluto and Neptune being symbolically linked to the underworld, right?
Right.
And that, but Neptune's energy, which is linked to Olokun, which is a watery, loving, giving energy, kind of comparing and contrasting how they both work to deconstruct and to really tear apart old frameworks, right? They both do that. The way in which they do that is very different. So the example the author gave was that Neptune is the little termites, right? And the termites eat away at the wood, and then one day you don't have a roof.
Right.
Pluto, the roof caves in on you, and then you get beat up by the roof. You know what I'm saying?
Right. There's a fall.
It's a fall. Like you, did this roof just fall on my head?
Yeah.
What happened? That is
what we are.
That is what we're in. The roof is going to fall down on your head
if you do
not deal with the self, right? And those illusions. You can say we walk around and do it all the time, but I think that's a crack in the I think that's a crack in
Yeah.
Well, we see the crack.
Right.
We see those things. And then we're surprised, like, did this roof just fall down on my head? What happened?
Right.
So we really do have to pay attention to the things that we see, the facts. Get to the truth of those things, and then celebrate the fact that we have the opportunity to work to transform those things in our lives. Because that's a gift. Yeah. That's a gift. That is a gift. That is a gift. That is a gift.
You know, as you were talking, it made me think about one of the messages in this moon time that was talking about like really paying attention. I mean, that's such a common theme. It's such a theme right now. Pay attention. But it's saying that the energies of this moon time, which actually started percolating, what was it, about the 18th.
Or the end of April?
About the 18th or 23rd or something like that. But about, it's always about 8 to 10 days prior, right? So it talks about a need for people to like really pay attention to the news because of there's like this whole energy of affecting institutions, governmental institutions, just large corporations, all of that. It talks about like really check your money. It really talks about a whole need to safeguard many things. So when you mentioned how Pluto, or your planet, doesn't do anything like flow.
No, it doesn't.
It's like boom, it's abrupt.
It's done.
It's done. It's done.
And now you have to deal with it.
And now you have to deal with it. So So the things that are happening out there now, I don't like to really get too much into, all the stuff that's going on out there, because everybody knows what's going on out there. But I did want to make a reference to that, because when Oya's planet went retrograde,
right.
We are dealing with the seventh square right now. That energy is going to be lasting for months and years to come. But when that energy happened, at the time that it happened, with everything lined up, bam.
Right. The covers were thrown back.
The covers are thrown
metaphorically
back.
and physically.
Yeah, once
and
again.
Physically, yeah.
Once again. So, for those who don't get the moon report, I will share something else about this moon time. In fact, we're going to talk a little bit about the sun time. The sun, is also at this time in the 4th house, and so it's in Taurus. And during this moon time, we're talking about, this really started about, the 21st, 23rd, something like that, moving into May 21st or a little bit before that. This energy of this moon and this sun in conjunction with that, which is not. The sun is currently in the 4th house in the sign of Taurus during this moon time. Family issues. So people, if you don't get the moon report, listen, there are family issues going to be going on right now, this week, and you probably saw it starting previously. There's issues with family resources. Family money can become a concern. Some people will find themselves having to secure their personal and family businesses in some sort of fashion. So securing the home can now come up. This can look like you're needing to change locks, you're needing to change security combinations, you're needing to change the security or reset the security cameras, change codes on electronic devices. They're securing the health of family members. So also be aware of that. That is a major theme as well. Family members and having to secure them.
Right.
As far as you may have to take them to the doctor. You may have to take yourself to the doctor. Also, with this moon time, those that work in the hospitals, their staffing is really going to have to be beefed up. This is a baby birthing moon time. A lot of folks coming back. And also, this moon time indicates problems within large corporations and governments, so check your investments and stocks. And those close to us can bring some form of burden or problem with which we'll have to figure out how to resolve in a creative fashion. So those are the energies also permeating with this moon time.
And if we think about them, they're also complementary, right? So with the sun in the 4th house, in the sign of Taurus, which is, the sign that is linked to Yeye Oshun.
Yes, it is.
And so when Oshun and Oya are aligned, that's a beautiful, wonderful, exceptional thing. And so as we think about both birth and death being present in this cosmological time.
Yes.
You see what I'm saying? Birth and death.
Yes.
That there's this energy of Scorpio, right? And this energy of Taurus being activated simultaneously during this moon time.
Both 13.
Both 13, both in 13 degrees. That's a very deep and powerful thing, Ida. That's a really deep and powerful thing. But I think it also goes back to what we know to be true about Yeye. Yeah. That something has to, we come and we go. That something has to be born, and something also has to die.
Or they say something has to die so something
can live, and something else can be reborn, right?
Or be reborn,
is rebirth.
It is.
Death is rebirth. It is.
And so you know what? I have to just say, and speaking about not really understanding Oya and really appreciating her and what she is, you know that Oya is, and I know you know, you especially know, but Oya is very much a midwife.
I say she is a death doula.
Yes, and
she is a death doula.
As we talked, as we mentioned, the Taurus, and we mentioned the Scorpio. That is the Oshun and the Oya. Let's understand. Let's talk a little bit about her also being a midwife.
A midwife. So the function of a midwife is to provide nurturing and support and direction and guidance during the process of something being born in general. That's the generic way in which we understand a midwife, right? Breathe, push, hold on, I got you, whatever. When we think about Oya as a midwife, and we think about the physical experience of death, just like if you've never had a child, you have no idea what to expect. People can tell you from morning to night what having a baby is like. Unless you've done it, you really don't know. So a midwife in that particular moment serves as really a guide for you, right, into unknowable territory. Oya represents the same thing relative to death. Death is the ultimate unknowable space.
Okay.
Because those who die don't, in real ways that we understand, come back and tell us what it was like to die, right? And the other thing is that we have to be mindful about is that I believe that our death also reflects our life. And so the way in which we have lived, those elders will say, that's the way you're going to go. Right?
Right.
That's what the elders would say. The way you live is the way you're going to go. You live peacefully, in harmony, you're going to go like that. You lived in chaos and crazy, you're going to go like that. That's their wisdom, not mine, but their wisdom. So when we think about Oya as a midwife, a death doula, if you will, a midwife, when we are at that completely unknowable space, when we are taking in our last breath, right, it is Oya who consoles us. It is Oya that tells us that everything is going to be okay. It is Oya that assures us that there is a next step, and in that next step we will be born anew in many ways, right? It is Oya who provides us the context for being able to release, going back to freedom. I think death is also freedom. Life shackles us. Living shackles us. Death frees us.
So, as we begin to wind down.
Already?
Yes, as we begin to wind down, I would like our audience to reflect on that, because for this 161
161.
Allow Oya to be that death doula for us. Because if she is the one who has the ability to support us in our change, our transformation, and she is the one that truly understands freedom,
right?
In a context that we
have no idea. We don't understand. We don't.
And we right now, on a collective conscious level, are struggling with different illusions, and we're in disillusionment, and we're having to really deal with truth, and we're really having to deal with looking at ourselves again, as we did during the Libra moon, but this time in a whole different way, with this Oya energy. Let us figure out how we can allow Oya to allow that which is not sustaining us, that is rotting us in some form or fashion, that needs to completely die. Allow that to happen.
I think that employing Yeye Mi Oya, right, and really seeking her nurturing and her guidance and her protection during this period, let her be your best friend. Let her be who you turn to. Let her be that which provides solace for you as you unearth your own truths, as you lay the foundation for transformation. as you build a new thing,
right?
As you build a new thing. What came to mind was how do you position yourself for success, right? So when you lean in against the wind, what happens? Right? It pushes you back, right? But when you relax, when you try to stand firm against the wind, you're not going to win.
No.
You are not going to win. The wind is going to win.
Yeah.
So if you just relax and go with it and trust that whatever your spiritual arsenal is will hold you up and protect you from hurt, harm, and danger, then go with the wind, baby. Go with the wind. Let it take you. Let it take you. Don't resist it. Seek that freedom, and let it wash all over you, because it is a good thing. It's not something to be feared. It is not something to be resisted.
Ashe. And so one could stand and speak to the wind.
Stand and speak to the wind. Stand and then listen, right? For further instructions, or go with it. And be grateful for wherever it takes you.
Ashe. Anything else that comes to your mind that you would like to leave our listeners with, and that they can take with them?
I think I would just repeat or reiterate what we said earlier. Is that death is not something to be feared, whether it's metaphorically or even physically. That it is the opportunity for a new beginning, and that that is a gift. New beginnings are a gift. So make sure that you fill your spiritual toolkit with all kinds of things. We believe and we know, because we follow the moon report and we engage it and we actively use it as a part of the way in which our own spiritual lives are guided. So we know that this venue is a part of our spiritual toolkit, and we want to encourage other folks to have it as a part of their spiritual toolkit. That is necessary. Our elders teach us that we engage life. We don't let life engage us. Right? We don't let life happen to us. That we go and do the work. We go and do the work. And so for me, this helps me do my work. This helps me do my work, my personal work, and then the work that I do with other people, right? It helps me do my work. And so we really appreciate all that you put into making sure that this is a venue for people to access information and inspiration. It is both those things. And then encouraging everybody to take this 161-day period as a gift, as an opportunity, and stay connected to your respective egg bays, because you don't have to, just because it's a challenging aspect, right? Connect with like-minded people. Allow yourself to be led by your elders, both your ancestors and your elders here in the physical realm, and really activate that first house stuff, which is all about who am I, what am I doing, how am I doing it, right? And what do I want to do, right? It's all about that, and really pursue, going back to your new moon report year, building a meaningful thing. I can't shake that idea of inheritance and legacy, which are completely linked to Oya. So, are we leaving a mess? Are we leaving chaos? Are we leaving, or are we leaving a good thing? Are we leaving something that's sustainable? Are we leaving? What are we leaving? What are we leaving? What are we leaving? Are we leaving something for something to build upon, other people to build upon? Are we just leaving more questions, more concerns? What are we leaving? So think about your legacies during this time. This is a great time to do that.
It is.
And you're never too young to do that.
No.
Think about your legacy.
No.
Think about what you have inherited and what you want your descendants to inherit from you, both physically and figuratively.
Because this is a very good moon time, as it is notated, to reintroduce yourself to family, right?
I should.
To get back in touch with family, to hang out with family, do something. So, you know, time just flies.
It does.
It flies. This was so wonderful. I really hope and pray that all the listeners out there have gotten a chance to know Oya in a more intimate, loving, fearless way, because Oya is so wonderful, so dedicated, committed, so truthful. And if you really want to dig in and really deal with some truth about yourself, and you know, we're always wanting to deal with other truth about other people, but this is really an opportunity.
And tell them their truth, honey.
And tell them
their truth.
Yeah, but take this opportunity to humble yourself and listen. Put yourself in the hot seat by yourself. Put yourself in the hot seat and allow your higher self, allow Oya as well, to just tell you not to crush you, but to show you that there's always a higher ground, a higher way, a better way of doing things, of being, et cetera, et cetera. So I say to everyone, have a practical thinking, self-reflecting, honoring others kind of moon time, and remember to know your truest self, follow the moon. I am just so happy to have you.
I am happy to have been here. What a blessing. What a blessing.
We will have to do this again.
Indeed.
You all have a wonderful evening, a wonderful day, a wonderful week, and a wonderful month. And I'll see you again very soon. Thank you for joining us here on Astrorisamoon Talk Radio. Take care.
Dabo.
Oh, Dabo.